Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Adobe ColdFusion Summit 2016. So awesome to see all of you here today. We're really excited to have you. I'm meeting a lot of people face-to-face for the first time. Believe it or not, I think a lot of people are here for the first time. Can I get just a quick show of hands on anybody that this is their first time being at the conference? Okay, great. Yeah, there's a lot of people here. Thank you and welcome. Thank you for coming. We're really happy to have you. I just have a few housekeeping items that I wanted to take care of before we kick off the keynote. So number one, hopefully all of you know that there's a mobile application available on iOS and Android. Please download that. You'll also need to enable the notification feature and the messaging feature if you want to receive the push notifications for the events that we're having and the messages that we're going to be sending out. Another thing I'm not sure if you've seen already, but the Wi-Fi is Adobe CF 16. And the password is just ColdFusion. And hopefully you know how to spell that. It's capital C, capital F, okay? We also have surveys. They're really important to all of us that you fill out the survey. You have to schedule the session inside of your mobile app in order to have the survey come up and be available for you to do it in the mobile app. So please schedule your sessions out so that you can get the push notifications on the survey availability as well. We're also going to give away a $50 Amazon voucher during each session hour. So that'll be part of the people that do enter in for the surveys. So please fill your surveys out. They're very important to all of us. Another thing is there's an API workshop tomorrow. That is a lab. So if you didn't get the message, you do have to install a VM to be a participant in the lab. If you need some help with that, please stop by the Adobe booth. And we have a lot of people there that can help you install it and get you set up before the session tomorrow. So please do that. The other thing is all of us are wearing these amazing black shirts. So Adobe folks will be here in the black shirts. Please come talk to us. We really want to talk to as many people as possible. It's here for networking, not only for yourselves, but the event is also for us to at least meet with as many people as possible and have a chat with you on your use of ColdFusion and what you think. The other thing I wanted to say is just the layout. All to my right is the expo, so all of our sponsors are here in this area. We're going to have all of the lunches in this area as well. The coffee, which is extremely important to everybody, will be served over here. And then behind you is the sessions. So it's all on the same level in the same area. So hopefully you won't have to go back and forth anywhere else. And then lastly, before I introduce the keynote speaker, we have an event tonight from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. This is for you guys. So we're going to be serving up drinks and appetizers at Rira Irish Pub. That's over there in the shops at Mandalay. So it'll be directly after your last session today. Please follow the signs and you'll get there, okay? So please make it to the event tonight shortly following the last session. And then without any further delay, I'd like to introduce Tridib Chowdhury. He is our Senior Director of Products and General Manager for the ColdFusion group, as well as the e-learning team. So please give a warm welcome to Tridib Chowdhury.
Welcome to Vegas, and welcome to ColdFusion Summit 2016. And on behalf of Adobe and the ColdFusion team, would like to wish all of you a very warm good morning. We normally get a more muted response on the second day after the party, but let's get a little more energy going. So, over the last 4 years, as you know, we've been excited to bring this summit to all of you. This year, we also, in May, did a summit in Washington, D.C. for our friends on the Eastern Shores. We started this journey 4 years ago in Mandalay Bay. So in a funny sort of way, this is like homecoming. But let me assure you, it's a homecoming with a massive difference. This year, I'm pleased to announce that we, along with all of you, have managed to record the maximum number of attendance for a CF summit. A massive 500+ people are attending this summit. So thanks to all of you, and give yourself a round of applause. So we have 500 people representing 212 companies across 15 different countries, and we have one awesome car outside in the room. Right? So I look forward over the next day or so to meeting as many of you as possible, to get a sense from you what's happening in the world of ColdFusion, and more importantly, to understand what's your take on this fast-changing world of technology that we are living in. And it would be fantastic if all of you would also take this opportunity to kind of network, share, and showcase all the work that you're doing with ColdFusion, because that's something that I keep talking about, that we should possibly be loudly and boldly talk about all the cool stuff that we are doing with ColdFusion. None of this would have happened without the active support and sponsorship of our sponsors. So let's put our hands together for all the sponsors in this room. So my thanks to Fusion Reactor, Fondio, Mura, National Battery, Edge, Figleaf, Hostec, Media3, and Otis Solutions. And anybody wants to take that car for a test drive, please speak to Yanni of National Library out here. I don't know if battery out here. Maybe he can make it happen. A small test drive. Some would say we are 21 years old. But remarkably, 21-year-olds shouldn't be growing. And ColdFusion continues to deliver double-digit growth year on year for the last 2-3 years. And it's fantastic to see. We continue to add approximately 2,000 new customers to our ecosystem every year, and this year is not going to be any different. So from a business point of view, the business has never been healthier, and which allows us the luxury of doing a lot of new things in the coming years. But one of the things that we do on a regular basis is we do what we call the State of ColdFusion annual survey. This year, we had about 435 respondents. Anybody out here who responded? Oh, good. And if you look at the mix of the respondents, pretty much represents the audience that I see in front of me. So let's see what are the key learnings. The one that makes me happiest is 70% of you are telling us that we are building new applications using ColdFusion, which is great to see. 86% of you are saying that your ColdFusion applications are external-facing, which means they are talking to customers, they are aligned to the business, and they're mission-critical for the existence of your organization. This was a surprise. 26% are claiming that you have only CF in your technology stack, which is great. But of course, when you look at the remaining 75, you see our core tenants being the expected PHPs and the .NETs and a bunch of others. But PHP and .NET are clearly the two most important core tenants in the technology stack along with ColdFusion. So the question is, what is driving the adoption, the loyalty, and the usage of ColdFusion in various organizations? If you recollect, we kind of keep track. So, if you look at large organizations, right, about 60% or 70% of Fortune 100 companies use ColdFusion. 50% of the Fortune 500 use ColdFusion. So what's the reason why people continue to invest and build new applications on ColdFusion? And what's really nice to see is ease of use and speed of development bubbling to the top. And this has been the cornerstone and the bedrock of ColdFusion over the last 21 years. Nice to see performance bubbling up to the top. The only one that is disappointing to me, honestly speaking, is security at 20%. And I'll talk a little bit about it later on in my presentation. This is the question that we asked for the first time this year. 30% of you are saying that we are deploying ColdFusion on the cloud. Pretty much in sync with what we are seeing in the industry and in the digital changes that are happening in organizations all around us. And we obviously have AWS, which is clearly the leader in the pack. So I suspect in the next few years, as some of the competition catches up, and in this vigorously competitive space, you'll see a change in the dynamics there. And we're keeping an eye on it. And this is one of the things that we want to kind of look at as we move forward beyond ColdFusion 2016. I talked about it in my keynote last year, of this explosion of APIs all around us. I was talking to Yanni in the morning and what he's doing with ColdFusion and with electric cars and some of the modern cars which have so much of automation inside. And it's all through APIs. Right? So it's not surprised that the API penetration in this community is increasing. Mobile clearly is the one that is driving this. A lot of people are talking about connecting disparate systems within an organization, which is essentially cost reduction. But I can assure you that in the next 5 years, the one that will really move ahead would be revenue. Organizations are increasingly figuring out that this is an effective way to share and monetize their data, their services, and their technology with the outside world. So revenue will at 10%, but I think as we get more and more used to APIs, understand the intricacies of what needs to be deployed, this will clearly be on the rise. And finally, 76% of you have claimed that ColdFusion is extremely critical component of your technology stack, so which is great to see. The question is, why does ColdFusion matter? And in my mind, the ones that we are focusing in on are these 4 pillars: performance, security, partnership, and community. Let's take a deeper dive into performance. Into ColdFusion, how many of you are on ColdFusion 2016? A show of hands. That's pretty much what we expect at this stage of the release, which is about 14 to 20% of the folks have deployed ColdFusion 2016. 30% improvement over ColdFusion 11. But as we all know, it depends to a large extent on the nature of the application. Take, for example, if your application is heavily dependent on file operations or on cache queries, you will obviously see a much better improvement than what we've noted out there. And every release on release, this is always going to be one of the goals that we set to the engineering team. In 2016, as you're well aware, we introduced an API manager, a fully featured API manager, as a part of the ColdFusion 2016 offering. Now, we were entering a space which was A, very crowded, and B, crowded with some really big names. And the challenge to the engineering team was to identify one thing that we will be able to go and boldly say that we are the best in class. And we decided, given the nature of the engineering team and our faith that we had the best engineering team in the world, that we can beat everybody else on performance. So let us share some numbers with you. We are able to deliver a 1 billion transaction throughput at less than 30 milliseconds. In any day, that's absolutely awesome performance. Now, we don't stop there. Nobody uses API Manager on only one box. So when you scale, we are able to scale. That means when you add one more box to your API Manager cluster, then we will be able to scale your throughput at 1.8 times. That's actually really low attrition when you scale. And we are able to scale the users by 2x, all the while keeping the latency less than 30 milliseconds. We could have done all this, but the latency goes through the roof. That doesn't mean anything. And so it's no surprise that we are the only API manager till date which has the temerity and the courage to go out and publish a performance white paper is freely available on the website. So if you have not kind of looked at it, take your time out and look at some of the numbers and the performance metrics that we have showcased. And we have tested them with some of the leading API managers in the world, and it's not even a contest. Nginx is something that we've kind of looked at, and we've heard a lot from you. How many of you are using Nginx today? OK. So the usage of Nginx clearly is on the rise, driven by superior performance. And I'm really happy to announce to you that just this morning, I got a mail from Suresh, who's the engineering head of ColdFusion, that we've opened the pre-release for the Nginx integration with ColdFusion. So this would be available to you in the coming days once we kind of go through the pre-release and the beta cycles, and we're excited to bring this to you. As we've done for the last few years, I'm really interested and excited to create a platform where some of our partners and some of our customers are able to come and showcase exciting work that they are doing on ColdFusion. Today, we have 3 such gentlemen coming on stage and talking to them about their ColdFusion experiences. And without much ado, I'd like to introduce from Market America and Shop.com, Michael Brady, CIO. Market America was formed in 1992 and operates across different countries, US, Canada, Mexico, Australia, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Singapore, and United Kingdom. Michael has been responsible for establishing and nurturing the technology team out there, which has currently 6 million customers. He'll talk a lot about it in his presentation. And he has 180,000 unfranchised owners worldwide. So I would like to put our hands together for Michael Brady to talk a lot more of Market America.
It's great to see a full house. It really is. All right, so what I'm going to talk to you today is about there we go. Market America, how we use ColdFusion, how we scale with ColdFusion, our web services infrastructure. I have a saying up here, it's kind of the theme, stay on the wave or be crushed by it. It's sort of the technology wave is my metaphor here. And really, you have to stay relevant, right? We have to stay on top of the wave or we'll get crushed by it. So let's talk about it a little bit here. All right, first I'll tell you a little about Market America, a company you've probably never heard of before. We are about $800 million in sales. We've been around since 1992. We are a e-tailer. 99.9+% of all transactions go through our e-commerce platform. We do have 180,000 direct salespeople across the world, and we're very proud of our products and brands. Our company size is about 800 people. I have 267 people in my technology group, last count. So pretty big infrastructure. We're very proud of Shop.com. We are number 59 on the Internet Retailer list. They track that sort of thing. We made the top 500 a few years back, and we've been moving up the charts. And so we're very proud of that. Of course, Amazon's number 1, but we got a long ways to go. But we have a lot of brands and a lot of websites. And it's important to think that when you're in multiple countries, those websites are, well, we've got to support multiple languages. And what we do in Australia is going to be different than Hong Kong or Taiwan, right? It's got to look different. So all these sites and all these brands, we've got a large infrastructure. So stay on the wave, but crushed by, right? So I thought it would be fun to kind of show you one of my fails, okay? Sort of like a cautionary tale of what not to do. And so, by the way, I like surfing, so this is why I use the metaphor too. So I know how this guy feels. This is how I felt when, a few years back. I started at Market America, end of 2009, beginning of 2010. And I looked at the infrastructure, and I saw, we're using ColdFusion. Great. But we were on version 6.1. So that was a problem, because 6.1 was released in 2003, and it's 2010. Now, the kind of way I see it, YouTube by 2010 was YouTube. But Day at the Zoo, the first video uploaded in YouTube, was in 2005. So the version of ColdFusion I'm using, the server that's running my websites, is 2 years older than when the first video was launched on YouTube. So, and not only that, we had issues around, we didn't patch our Windows platform, we didn't patch properly. So there was a lot of things there where it just was a bad scenario. And I'm a big web services guy, so web services are very important. And our initial web services, well, they weren't web services that any developer would want to use, right? So, because web services should be what? Discoverable, REST, JSON, right? Great, small, coming back, we're moving into microservices now as a company. So this was the request, and this was the response. Now, this response is not a small response. And it's not JSON, and it's not discoverable, and it's and it goes on, right? And the way I kind of see it is, the beginning of Star Wars where the Death Destroyer or Star Destroyer is going by, and you're going, that thing is just never going to end. That's how I feel when I see this. So anyway, I'm going to move on. So we also didn't knock it out of the park as far as our error handling. I put her up here because she's mocking me. So this was a kind of our error handling, and of course, this was the server control code here was RM-4. And of course, as a developer, we all know what RM-4 means. No, I don't either. And this gave you, in the server side, we didn't even give you the right statuses back. It was a 200 OK. So that was really confusing to a developer, right? So what do? Well, you reset. It's, as a CIO, you look at people, process, technology. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on process or the people side and all the changes we made, but one thing I want you to think about is James Collins' Good to Great. It's an oldie, but a goodie, so if you haven't read it, you should. But focusing on the technology side, we went to enterprise, latest versions. We're making sure we apply all the security patches, and we patch, and we use Apache Linux. Your mileage may vary. Windows, there's nothing wrong with that, but we switched to Apache Linux because it's a little more control because of the number of servers we have. And we really built out a strong middle-tier web services API architecture. And so here's our technology stack. So this is Market America's technology stack. Our programming languages, front and middle tier, are ColdFusion, Java, and PHP. All right? Databases, we have Universe, SQL, MySQL, and we have NoSQL databases, which Couchbase, Hadoop, Lucene, Elasticsearch. And we tie them all together with web services. Notice there's a theme going on here about web services and APIs. Very, very strong here. Okay, so I'm going to ask you a question. Is ColdFusion scalable? And you're going to say yes. Okay, is ColdFusion scalable? Yes. Okay, that wasn't bad. Let's try one more time. Is ColdFusion scalable? Thank you. Thank you for playing, by the way. Yeah, I'm actually show you why it is, and how it does scale for us. So our PHP sites, we have 15. Okay, worldwide, we're talking, not a whole lot. Java sites, we have 23. ColdFusion sites, we have 292. Yeah, it's probably actually too many than we should have, but that's what we have out in the wild, and we support on a daily basis. A lot of products, a lot of brands, folks. I'm going to cut it a different way. So all our public websites have about 51 million page views, 3.87 million visitors monthly, okay, all in total. My ColdFusion sites power the majority of that at over 46 million page views and nearly 3 million customers, uniques. All right. Oh, I forgot to say, and that doesn't include the web services tier, the APIs that support all the other sites. So there's a lot of volume coming through these systems. So to kind of tee up the APIs, and I encourage you to see Brian Sapei's breakout if you can. He's doing one about how we use APIs and how we actually making money using APIs, which I'm going to hit in here just now. Because for us, it's not a technical nicety, or it's a technical necessity, and it's actually a business strategy for us. So it's not only scaling our business, but it actually grows our business. Without APIs, we wouldn't have an app store in our enfranchised back office. That's the system that our distributors, our unfranchised owners, we call them, log into, 180,000 of them. And so now we have app stores. And by the way, we didn't create all these apps, right? We held hackathons and dev post contests and so forth and exposed APIs to other people, and they built apps for us. So, and they made money and great contests and so forth. So without that, we wouldn't have the App Store. Also, this lended itself to building our own affiliate publishing network. We call it Shop APN. This is where if you have a blog and you have people that visit your blogs and you're not making any money off of it, you can use our APIs, pull searches, products, and so forth. Those people get sent to shop.com, your customers, and you make a commission, 15%. So that's one of the ways these are orders we would not have had, folks. These are orders we would not have had we not built this API strategy and started building on our business. So I want you to noodle that when you're thinking about APIs and how you could use this in your environment, your system. All right. This all ties together. We have developer.shop.com, where we have a lot of APIs. And you can go there today and sign up and play with them if you'd like. Love to hear your feedback. So let's talk about how we scale ColdFusion. I thought this would be good to see. So for us, Linux, Apache, Tomcat, and we put CFusion on it, and we add 4 instances. And there you have it. And we rinse and repeat. And what we do here is we actually scale this horizontally, okay? And we keep adding servers as we need, and we divide those hundreds of sites and services by function, and we scale. And we keep everything, we use a lot of cache. Caching is very, very important. So we use actually enterprise cache called Terracotta. Now, it's very similar to the local cache of EHCache. In fact, the thing that I'm very proud of is the fact that when we set up our Terracotta cluster, you know, it spent like probably a month in configuration and training and so forth. But the day we went live, it was an afternoon because ColdFusion's plug and play with Terracotta. So it was literally a switch. Anyway, we had some databases here, and we have web services. So I'm kind of painting from broad strokes our environment, right? I'm trying to show you kind of how it looks for us. And there we go. So again, there's a lot more systems in here, but this kind of shows you from a high level all our systems. So you've got my Java servers, right? And they talk via web services to my ColdFusion architect, my ColdFusion framework. We use Elastic, Lucene Elasticsearch. We have 40 million products on shop.com. You got to figure we pull products in from Macy's and Target and Walmart and yada, yada, yada. And what happens is there's a anywhere between 3 to 7, depending on the day, churn of products, right? So that's a lot of churn when you're talking 40 million products. So we use Elastic on that. And that's all connected via web services to my sites. All right. The important thing here I want to hammer home is that ColdFusion is a very key part of our infrastructure. It's the main part of our infrastructure for all our front end and our middle tier. I want to touch on also that today, when our API, the developer.shop.com that you saw, that's actually being powered by Layer 7, not Adobe. Why? Well, because we started down this path several years ago before ColdFusion, Adobe had released their API manager. We are POCing it. We are actually using it. We're going to start rolling it out. Layer 7 is a very fine product, but we're finding that, very frankly, the Adobe product is a little faster. And for us, it's actually a little better in that it's based, obviously, on ColdFusion, but it's also API-based. So we can write services to control APIs that control the API manager, right? So being able to set up customers automatically and so forth. We can do a lot of things that help us scale on that. So thank you very much.
Thanks. Thank you. So thanks, Michael, for that really engaging presentation on what's happening at shop.com and how he's managing to use ColdFusion and scale his business really aggressively. Let's come to the part about security. And one of the things that we don't possibly take it very seriously and we don't realize is that even though, how many of you in this room has been impacted by a security breach in the last 1 year? Oh, that's more number than I thought. And to be honest with you, for the rest, just because it's not happening with you does not mean the bad guys are not active. What's really cool to see is that in 2015, every week the world saw one zero-day vulnerability. Zero-day vulnerabilities are things that it needs to be fixed within 24 to 48 hours. 75% of our websites and our applications on the web are vulnerable today. So we do live in a world where we are taking serious chances if we don't make security as a part of our organization IT strategy. On ColdFusion side, we've not had a zero-day almost for 2 years, and we don't want to jinx it. But at the same time, just wanted to give you a sense what we have been doing aggressively in the back to make sure that the products that we bring to the table protects you and your environment as best as we can. During the product development, we have a cross-product security team in Adobe. These are like the really high-powered security experts. They formed the asset team, and we worked with them for every feature that we build. It needs to get an OK from the asset team before we decide to build it out. So that's the first thing that we do when we are in the process of development. Now, during the development process, and even after that, what we essentially do is we set up systems inside where we have a security czar within the CF team. We have specially sensitized our quality team on security, and most importantly, 100% of our team is secure software engineering certified. And on the deliverable side, what we've done is we've tried to make sure that the CF is secure by default. So now when you install CF, it is secure by default. You need to kind of uncheck something, make some changes, and then it's now your responsibility to check it back again. Security issues, we try to make sure that they're always in zero backlog. And last and most important, we do regular quarterly updates. Now, if a security vulnerability is reported, and this can come from a variety of sites and variety of security consultants across the world, we have a team in Adobe, again, a cross-product team called PCERT. And PCERT's job is to let us know that their vulnerability has been recognized, and then we sit down and try to figure out. If it is a zero-day, it needs to be fixed between 24 to 48 hours. If it is not a zero-day, we make sure that it is fixed in the next quarterly security update. So on our side, we are trying to make sure that all of you, when you install ColdFusion, you must have the confidence that we are doing our level best in bringing the most secure platform out there. Because most of you are using it. As I said, 86% of you are using our platform for external-facing applications. Now, this is a question that we ask every year. And what's really neat to see is that less than a week and less than a month, numbers are moving in the right direction. we still have 2% of the people indicating, and that's down from 4, so it's 100% improvement, but still not good enough for me. 2% of the folks are saying we don't care about security, which is something I would strongly urge for you to look back to your strategy and see why that is so. Now, 16% of the people are saying that they apply the patch as soon as it's ready. How many of you in this room apply a security patch as soon as ready as a part of your policy? All right. So all of you, please contact Kishore out there, and he'll make sure there's some swags available for you. He's possibly giving me dirty looks because it comes completely as a surprise to him. But he'll figure out something. But please, we definitely want to kind of call out the security champions within the community. I would like to next call upon Brian Peterson, the CIO of Global Clash Card. Brian's career spans 20 years and ranges from startups to heavily trafficked web properties to Fortune 100 companies. He currently serves as the CIO at GCC, which is a payment processing leader in the financial services industry. So put your hands together for Brian.
Yes, please. Come and put it down on me. I'm right here.
Good morning, everyone. It's good to see such a big crowd here for ColdFusion. I'm going to spend some time with you today and tell you a little about how we use ColdFusion, how it's been an enabler within our business and helped us grow to become one of the leaders within the payment processing industry. Last year, we processed close to 60 million payments, and every one of those payments utilized multiple ColdFusion systems to make it happen. Our stack is composed of primarily Linux, ColdFusion, and MySQL. We have around 120 ColdFusion production servers, and our transaction processing platform is built entirely in ColdFusion and Java. I want to talk to you a little bit about the extensibility of ColdFusion and the power within ColdFusion. Many organizations or individuals start out with the basics. They need a web server. They need to put some content up internally, externally, and it grows from there. But ColdFusion has the ability to take your organization and the services that you're providing much further than many people understand or take advantage of. For example, we use event gateways as front ends for Java socket listeners for transaction processing. Basically what that means is that every time somebody swipes one of our Visas or MasterCards anywhere in the world, that authorization request gets routed back to our systems and hits a ColdFusion server, essentially performs some queries to make sure that transaction should be authorized, and the response is sent back out from ColdFusion. And we do that at very high volume with no issues. Given that that is a payment process, we have to be available, we have to respond very quickly, or that transaction would be denied. We're able to scale and support tremendous load with the architecture that we've designed. We also use APIs pretty extensively, both internally and customer-facing. For example, we have IVR, interactive voice response systems, where customers will call in and they need to get information about their card, how much money, what's the balance on my card. They will interact with their telephone pressing digits, as you all have done before, and that will in turn talk to a ColdFusion API that will query our database again and return whatever information they're looking for. We also use it externally, and this API has gone through several evolutions, and we're looking forward to transitioning to the new API manager in ColdFusion 2016 shortly, largely because it will handle a lot of the things that we've had to build around in order to maintain adequate security for these public-facing APIs will be inherently available within the ColdFusion 2016 API Manager. Operating at scale. I mentioned before that it is absolutely critical that we maintain availability, that we maintain security, data confidentiality, and we're able to do all these things with ColdFusion. We also have to make sure that anytime anyone needs to access those systems, they're working properly. So the basics of understanding whether or not your application is working properly, you're going to monitor resource utilization on your servers. You may look for specific errors. You may be doing health checks against systems, looking for specific responses. We've tried to automate as much of that as possible to provide immediate detection of any sorts of problems, but also to better understand potential abuse of the web applications that are public-facing, for example, by users of that system. We're looking for things like fraud detection, unusual user behavior. So we've created custom logging modules that will track essentially user behavior. We know user X usually does this, this, and this. Maybe they do a balance transfer. Maybe they check their balance daily. If we start seeing anomalous behavior, we're able to detect that by logging, sending that to Splunk, and performing real-time alerting coming out of there. We also use Fusion Reactor, which has been tremendously helpful in determining both code inefficiencies and database query inefficiencies. This has been absolutely critical to us optimizing our systems. It helps us maintain a relatively small number of compute resources considering the volume that we're able to handle, which keeps costs down. We're also very proud of an internally developed error tracker. And essentially what this system does is it will aggregate system error, or I should say ColdFusion application errors, and log them into a database and do a lot of other very helpful things like sort them by frequency of occurrence. We can assign them automatically to our ticketing system to a particular developer. We can mark them as irrelevant. This allows us to keep a very close eye on what's actually going on with our systems. Configuration management is also key. It's imperative that all of our systems are configured identically. We use Puppet, and there's some new functionality coming into 2016 and beyond that will allow us to further automate configuration management and automated deployment of ColdFusion application servers. Performance tuning, JVM tuning is critical. Again, when you first throw up an application, you don't really pay much attention to that, but once you start producing some volume there, JVM tuning is your best friend to alleviate performance constraints. Query tuning again, and database schema. The design of your database, assuming it's a relational database, is absolutely critical to being able to scale to volume. Security is obviously a big deal for us. We move a lot of money through our systems on a daily and even by the minute basis. Just very basic here, restrict access to the CF IDE directory, change the admin username, use the lockdown guides. There's a lot of good information in there. None of it's very hard to implement, and it will really help you tremendously. It's also imperative, as you all know, to apply CF patches as they come out and do so quickly. Obviously, certain patches aren't as severe as others, but it's important to ensure that all of your systems are being patched properly. We also utilize web application firewalls. We actually have 2 layers of web application firewalls. Most of the problems that we hear about today in the compromised systems are not happening because somebody forgot to patch their system or they've got a poor design. It's because of bad coding, for lack of a better way of putting it. Web application firewalls will help you to an extent by looking for common types of malicious input, filtering them out. But as with any other system, they require tuning, knowledge of the application, and they aren't perfect. There's still application logic functions that WAFs will never understand, or at least not for the foreseeable future, that you need to be able to code around and make sure that you're protecting properly. Again, the custom application logging helps us tremendously, but also ensuring that logs that are being generated are being monitored and alerted upon. We've developed secure coding standards that are specific to ColdFusion. We perform peer reviews within the development team. Information security team reviews code before it goes into production. We also use a few runtime security testing systems for web applications. I found an interesting article here, and there's a link at the bottom that may be a little hard to see here, but by a guy named Eric Elliott. He had some really interesting things to say, and I'll try to just summarize some of the things that I found good. Fear cripples developers, and this one, I would say, actually goes beyond developers. Fear cripples everyone within an organization. As a payments processor with many, many, many people relying upon us to access their money, we're scared to death to make a change. If someone can't go buy groceries If they can't buy diapers for their kid, they have the money, but they can't get to it, it's a big deal, and it impacts a lot of people. So we're scared when we make changes. So there's some things that you can do to help alleviate that fear. And by alleviating that fear, you're able to maintain a more productive and agile environment. Continuous productivity and change is critical for business success and to maintain leadership. So some of the things that you can do are listed more at the bottom here, but automated testing for every feature and bug fix. Most developers don't want to go through this process. It's laborious, it's painful. But of those that have and those that do practice this, they would probably testify that doing so actually saves time in the end, and it allows them to continue moving forward. It removes that fear, and they become much more productive and spend less time going back and performing bug fix work than actual development work. Modularity is also an extremely important technical factor. Having code that you're writing modular will actually make it easier to test, single it out, and help you change your product more quickly. Developers need to be self-motivated. This is something that we believe in strongly within our organization. We don't micromanage. Our CTO spends 95% of his time writing code. Nobody wants to do HR people management. So do what you can to self-motivate. It'll benefit you, it'll benefit the company, and everybody wins. Before you build, plan to grow. It's imperative that you also consider how large the audience could potentially be for applications that you're writing. Don't do things like store application sessions locally on the server. Put them in a database in case you need a pool of servers to load balance those systems. Think about the ease of which change and adding features will happen if you design a certain way as opposed to just building a static site that fits the one need that you're trying to address. Thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
One of the things that we've always been proud of is the large number of folks who kind of build businesses and products and services using ColdFusion. And these partners are really important to us because it's through these partners a lot of our new customers come onto the ecosystem. So I like to kind of call upon VSR Systems, Eric Kratz, who's the CEO, and Wichneck of the West Coast WMS project leader. I met Eric a couple of years ago in our Virginia office, and I was simply blown away by the solutions that he's built on CF. Really large ERP and WMS solutions, and he has I think a breakout today. So few of you who would like to kind of take a deep dive on how to build enterprise class applications and services, so you might want to kind of come to VSR stall and have a look at it. So I'd like to call upon Eric and Whit onto the stand.
Good morning. My name's Eric Kratz. I'm from VSR Systems, VSR West, and in the next couple of minutes, I'm going to talk a little bit about my company, the CF solutions that we use, business applications, and then I'm going to look more on the marketing side. Whit's going to follow up and get more into the technical side. I'm from the marketing side, so I'm the guy who makes all the promises, and Whit keeps me honest, so we'll go from there. VSR Systems, VSR West, is a boutique software company. We're located in Westchester, New York, and I'm sure you guys are tired of New Yorkers with microphones on stage. And then we have our other office in Southern California. We provide two main ColdFusion business solutions which seamlessly work together but also can work independently and integrate with other products. The first product is an ERP, or Enterprise Resource Planning System, basically a core business system for small to medium-sized to even large-sized organizations. The second is a WMS system, which is a warehouse management system, which dovetails very nicely into ERP system. And that basically is your inventory management, locator, costing system for inventory. Our ERP system is a very mature, tested application. It's been in operation for over 15 years. We have over 120 unique brands across multiple industries. One of the industries that we are primarily focused on is the garment, accessory, and home textile industry. Being from New York and Los Angeles, there's a lot of marketplace for us to work within. We have over $650 million of sales that flow through the ERP annually over those brands. And we have 450 million transactions processed monthly through different types of applications within that, one being EDI, sales, order entry. Our ERP is focused mostly on manufacturers and distributors, again, being garment, accessory, and so forth. The WMS system also focuses on those same types of customers, but also works with 3PLs and 4PLs, basically the logistics companies that are hired as an outsourced solution for those manufacturers and distributors. Our clients are in New York, California, Chicago, Montreal, but all of them have offices all around the world and utilize our product as one. So there's no uploading or downloading. Everybody's sharing the same information at the same time. I just want to go back for a second and just tell you from a marketing perspective, I could walk into any meeting and feel confident because I know my product is built in CF that I can compete with almost anybody at any time. The ERP system is designed for SKU-based clients. So think of anything that you're wearing, anything that you have in your house, anything that you have on your table. Those are the type of clients that we go after. It goes from product design to production to inventory to in transit overseas, sales, profitability, and financial reporting up to the general ledger. So it's a total package. And in between, we also integrate with third-party software such as EDI, factoring, and so forth. The WMS system basically controls the receiving of inventory, or at least the anticipation of the receiving inventory, manages that inventory by location, and the shipping out of that inventory. And it's very important that you ship out efficiently. Both products support custom configuration by the client, which means no one does anything the same. So with the help of ColdFusion and the confidence that I have going into any marketing meeting, we could basically do anything that any of our clients need to do with a very quick turnaround and being very efficient. I'm able to walk in basically and compete against the SAPs and the NetSuites of the world with confidence because I know that we can do it in a much more efficient and confident way because of our developers and because of ColdFusion. Both products give total visibility using data gathering and ease of use of multi-file filtering reporting. So basically our clients can, with one tap, with one dashboard, know where their company is, where their profitability, if they're going to be late on a shipment, if they're selling on the margin, and so forth. The WMS is configurable in a workflow tasking engine. We use scan, pack, and shipping features. Basically, when an item comes in, you've seen all the barcodes or the Joker tickets. All those are utilized to bring the inventory in, put it away, and know where it belongs. We use mobile devices, all in our ColdFusion application, to track that. The architecture is ColdBox, CashBox, Wirebox, and Logbox. And some of the proprietary things that we have within the WMS and the ERP is an EDI engine, which allows our customers to integrate with their customers, the retailers, but also the two products work together. We use the industry standard of EDI, but we also have an XML translator that works well. The next generation of ERP will be utilizing the same architecture that we use in the WMS. And also something very interesting with ERP, which is growing, is the ability to integrate with e-commerce solutions, either our clients' own e-commerce solutions or the retailers' e-commerce solutions. And that's all through APIs. The future of our product basically has become more and more mobilized, both for the ERP and the WMS, and also, as everybody's going to be talking about during this summit, how APIs are going to start replacing the standard EDI, which will make things easier for everybody. All right, so now I'm going to hand the microphone over to Whit. He's going to go more into technical detail. But if you want to go even further into technical detail about our product and the architecture, join us at 11:30 in our breakout session. Thank you very much.
Okay, so with the sales and marketing guy off the stage, we can come down from the clouds in the sky and actually get down on the ground of what's really happening when we're building our applications here. Why use CF? Well, we're a huge fan of CF. Obviously, everyone in this room is a huge fan of CF. I've been involved with CF since '97. I'm actually ColdFusion 4 or 5 certified, and maybe one of the few people in this room with that distinction. But we are, everything we do is ColdFusion. Everything I've been doing for the last almost 20 years is ColdFusion. So why do we do it? Why do we use ColdFusion? Pretty much the same reason why everybody uses it, right? First one here, reduced development time of ColdFusion's tag-based language allows us to focus on code design over development. We are huge proponents of architecture, of code design. Don't write a line of code until we analyze the heck out of why we're doing this, what we're doing, making sure it's going to last. We're not going to back ourselves into a corner. Much of the dismay of management. Why is this taking so long? We haven't even written any code yet. Well, yes, we're going to make sure we design it right, knowing that when we do design it, the coding goes quickly, and we don't have to worry about huge upfront time for the design and then also the back-end programming time for it. So we can focus on the architecture without worrying about slowing down our development time. ColdFusion is able to integrate with other languages. We want to use existing Java objects, easy as dropping the library and calling create object. All that's really saying is it's extensible. It's a lot of flexibility in it. If for whatever reason we can't find the tags that we need in ColdFusion, we can reach out to Java classes. We've got lots of flexibility to extend our applications outside of ColdFusion if we need to, and it works. It's seamless. It's easy. Continued growth, support, and evolution of the product itself. We do patch our servers. Speaking to the security patches, make sure everything's always up to date. We're always using the latest versions. That's why we love it. There's always new stuff coming out. It works. It's fast. And there's a lot of support and there's a lot of community for it. There's no reason not to use it. We love it. Superior development turn time compared to our competitors. Like Eric was saying, we go up against heavy hitters. We go against SAP, NetSuite. We need an advantage. We need some sort of competitive advantage, and ours is, hey, we can turn this around quicker, less expensive, and we know it's going to work. And that's huge, especially with the clients that we use. They don't have monster budgets, and when we go in there and say we can do it, we can. So that's ColdFusion. So let's give a little tangibility to everything we've been talking about, and give you a kind of a visual representation of how all of our applications fit together in this product life cycle. Everything from let's create it to how do we get it in the hands of our customers. In my little 30,000-foot flyover Fisher-Price diagram flowchart here, trying to keep it super simple. I'm not sure how much experience you have with our industry, but let me kind of burn through this in a minute or two just to give you an idea of how it all fits together. Here's our flowchart swim lane. We have the ERP in the top. The middle tier there is our EDI layer, which is how we communicate between the two applications. Not really our idea. It's an industry thing. It's been around forever, and we had to adhere to it. And it's flat files and it's FTP, as embarrassing as that is, but that's how the industry works, and it can't really change. So we had to adhere to that. So that's how we communicate between the ERP and the bottom swim lane is our WMS product. So let's just sort of run through this, and I'll give you kind of the how a bill becomes a law kind of scenario here. So in the top left corner with our production and manufacturing, the ERP handles the production design. Someone's got an idea, let's build a product. They design the product in the ERP, they create the purchase orders to get it produced, and they ship it off to the manufacturers. The manufacturers log into our ERP overseas. Unfortunately, most of it is overseas. Doesn't really happen a lot in the US, but we've got lots of overseas users logging in, getting the build of materials, getting the POs, knowing what they need to build. When they're done building it, they put it on a boat. When they put it on the boat and it comes over, the ERP shoots a notification to the warehouse and says, hey, we've got a bunch of stuff coming. Here's what's coming. Here's when it's going to get here. The WMS consumes that file, and our workflow engine kicks in and says, here's how you're going to put it away. Here's how you're going to receive it, tag it, and put it away. As you put things away, we generate the next file, which is called the 944, appropriately, right? Because we all know what that means. 944 is an inventory update, and in real time, as the forklift guy is putting stuff away in the racks, we're firing off these files back up to the ERP, so the ERP is getting real-time updates on the inventory. And that's important because the next part of the ERP is the sales. That's how everybody gets paid, right? The sales come in from the big retailers, from the Nordstroms, the Macy's, the Walmarts, and our clients need to fulfill those orders. And when they allocate the products, they need to know what their inventory is. So all of this sort of works seamlessly together. Their inventory is updated real time. They get their orders, they allocate their inventory, the orders shoot down through a 940, and the WMS catches those orders. We catch the orders, the workflow engine kicks in on the WMS, pick it, pack it, ship it, and off goes the 945 back up to the ERP that said, hey, the truck left, here's what it left with, here are the orders, the quantities, and now you can bill. Now you can get paid. So that's the accounting piece of that. The inventory gets debited, the invoices go out to the client, everybody's happy, everyone can see what's going on, it's very transparent, it's all real time, and it's all ColdFusion, 100%, with some Java stuff in there too. But that's it, that's how our applications work, and that's that. So we've got our, I appreciate you guys giving us time to share our application, our industry. I'm not sure how many people here are aware of how this all works, but ColdFusion's powering it. So we have our session at 11:30. If you got any questions, you want to swing by, see, we'll go into more depth into architecture and our features and stuff, so please feel free to swing by. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. Thank you so much. Thanks, Eric, and thanks, Whit, for that really fantastic presentation. And please check them out on the breakout. Right. We started this journey of ColdFusion Summit 4 years ago, essentially to bring this community together. Before that, we had a lot of properties on the web, a lot of digital properties, but they were not all over the place. And this was our first attempt to kind of create a sense of community in the ColdFusion stakeholders. The next thing that what we are trying to do is we want to create a single digital watering hole. So we are creating a portal loosely called ColdFusion Communities at this point of time. And the whole idea is, can we create one watering hole where all of you will go, not only to find information, get your problem solved, but most importantly also showcase the wonderful work that you do every now and then. So one of the things that what we want to do, we want to merge the forums, the Q&A, FAQs, the Slacks, and everything, and bring them under one platform. And it should be ready in the next few months, and it should be available to all of you. And really look forward to your participation and your feedback on how we can make this an even more robust, engaging, and vibrant platform for this community. The next one that we are driving, and this is something which is very close to my heart. Now we are creating something called the CF Fiddle, something like the JS Fiddle. The whole idea is when we come out with a new version of ColdFusion, and you want to test out a feature of ColdFusion before you want to use it in your production environment, the only way that you can do is to install and download and install and try it out. We are now creating this platform called CF Fiddle, and the whole idea is to create a web platform where you can create applications, test out code snippets, and more importantly, a place where you can store information and share it with somebody else. But we have more than that. I would like to have Rakshit Naresh, who's the product manager, and most of you are pretty aware of him, to come up and give you a small demonstration what CF Fiddle looks like, and give you a little more in-depth details as to how you can use this product going forward. So, Rakshit.
Let me just log into my demo machine first. Okay, all set. Can we have this on display? Great. Hello, everyone. So even before I show you the demo of CF Fiddle, I would just like to tell you about how the CF Fiddle project even came into existence. We have an engineer in the product team by name Milan. So he was actually browsing through one of the JavaScript posts on Stack Overflow. Let me just show you what he was looking at. So this is a JavaScript post on Stack Overflow. And the problem, what you will notice is the problem description is just a link. The developers, JavaScript developers, all they do is just post a link to the problem that they're facing, and others take a look at it and fix it for them or provide some kind of solution. Now let's compare this to what ColdFusion developers do. our ColdFusion developers first write a description, then a really huge code snippet, and then a really huge output as well for others to debug and give them a solution. So Milind clearly did not like this, and he wanted to change this. So he and the rest of the engineers in the product team came up with this new CF Fiddle project, and I have to tell you, it's way better than what JS Fiddle does. Let me just show you JS Fiddle real quick. This is JS Fiddle. As you can see, there's code right there that the developer is trying to post. You can see the output on the right-hand side. All this is great. Now let's take a look at CF Fiddle. This is the login screen for CF Fiddle. You can use your Facebook login to log into CF Fiddle. Let me just log in using my Facebook account. And this is the home screen of CF Fiddle. I have a list of applications. All this is running on the browser. So I have a list of applications. One is called the Fiddle demo. The other is a test. I can go ahead and create new applications right here. All my applications will get stored in the cloud. And let me just show you some of the files that I have here. I can go create a new file. I can go create a new folder as well. Let me open this up, cfcharts.cfm. So what you see here is code on the right-hand side with full support for syntax coloring as well as code completion. You can actually see that code completion also works on the browser. What is also neat is that I can run and see the output right there. As a ColdFusion developer, I can see this, and I can also go manipulate it, save it. Let me just quickly show you that. Save it, run it again, just to prove that it's live data. So that's changes happening dynamically. So it's not just about creating new files and creating new applications. You can also import your existing projects into CF Fiddle. You can also export projects out of CF Fiddle and then import it back. What is really nice is you can also share your applications with others. So all you have to do is just go hit the share button right here and perhaps send an email or copy the link once others and pass it on to others. Once others get that link, they can just access the link, log into CF Fiddle, and they'll be able to see a read-only mode of your application. So this is what CF Fiddle is. We believe that CF Fiddle will change the lives of ColdFusion developers in 3 different ways. Number 1, the next generation documentation is going to be significantly different. Let me just show you how it's going to look like. So this is a normal CF image captcha documentation that all of us are used to. There is description here, history, syntax, all these things are great. And there is a static code sample right here. But what you'll notice is there is a CF Fiddle link right below that. I can go click that, and the very same documentation code snippet opens up in CF Fiddle, and I can play around with it. Right from within the documentation, I can play around with attributes, run it, see the output right there, change some attributes as well, save it, and run it again to see the difference right there. So this is how documentation is going to change going forward. This is number 1. Thank you. The second way in which it's going to change the life of ColdFusion developers is you no longer will have to paste those ugly code snippets on blogs or on forum posts. All you have to do is just take a link, post the link to CF Fiddle, and you're pretty much set. Let me just show you one other real quick example. So this is a PDF file, CF HTML to PDF. This is a new tag that we have in ColdFusion 11. I can go run this as well. I'll just not wait for the file to execute. I'll just show you the output as well. So you can actually create files on the cloud as well. So I'm creating a PDF out of HTML and opening it right here. So I can go download it and show it to you as well. So let me just open it up. So this is the HTML to PDF conversion. So pretty much any functionality now can now be accessed on CF Fiddle. So that's number 2. Number 3, so whenever you have an issue with CFML, and when you contact one of the CF gurus, what you can now do is either export your project, export your application, and send it to them so that they can figure out what's happening by running your application on Fiddle. Or what you can also do is just share a link for your existing issue and share it with them so they can easily help debug your applications better. So this is how it's going to change the life of all you ColdFusion developers. Do you guys like what you see? Do you like CF Fiddle? Great. That's great. So I'm happy to announce that very soon we will have a pre-release open for CF Fiddle, and we would love to hear your feedback. That's it from me. Enjoy the rest of the conference.
Wasn't that cool? Good. So I saw some people go, wow, so it was nice to see that sitting up there. So what else is coming up? So we're now getting into that mode where we are starting to look what's next. What's going to ColdFusion Ether going to look like? That's the code name of the project that we have. Obviously, we want to continue to accelerate digital transformation that is happening in all your organizations. And clearly, API, as we've heard from all the speakers today, seems to be residing at the core of that transformation. So we'll continue to invest and build and grow the API management platform going forward. Containerization is becoming really important. So built-in containerization deployment with Dockers, etc., is going to something that's going to come out of the box, which will help you to kind of do continuous development, deployment, and testing as we go forward. The next one that is important is the DevOps, right? So when we used to deploy things on the cloud, we came up with this new class of people or new skill set called DevOps. And now that's evolved to a large extent to DevSecOps. And the whole idea there is, how do we distribute the security decisions? Not elevate it, but bring it down to the folks who are actually developing, the people who have the information and who actually have the instruments to change. So we started this journey in 2016 with the security analyzer. And we are going to continue to build on that and have more functionalities coming up in other areas of the code, which will allow you to build stronger code and help in this DevSecOps. Modularization is really important with everything that's happening on the cloud. So modularization and independently manage and scale microservices, that means support for microservices, will also become a core feature that we are thinking of in 2016. And all this is essentially moving the platform, is on our journey to make the platform a lot more modern and keep it relevant and vibrant and useful to all the people in the next 10 years. So with that, I'd like to say a big thank you to all of you for coming down and spending a couple of days with us. I hope this conference is useful, and I hope to see you all engaging, learning, and sharing from each other. Thanks once again, and have a great conference.